In every town, there are whispers.
You talk about gossip and rumors. This is a high school. Where does it get any better than that?
There were rumors of satanic cults. There were rumors of sex rings.
The gossip is almost gospel at this point.
Talk may be cheap, but gossip can be deadly.
There were guns, syringes filled with tranquilizers.
This was a real whodunit from a murder perspective.
Upper Marion, Pennsylvania, on Philadelphia's main line. It's an upscale community known for its tranquil lifestyle.
The main line is one of the better places to live in the U.S. Really classic suburban America.
We definitely were not afraid of the streets. When it got dark, we just did as we wanted. Nobody ever felt unsafe.
This community was a very family-oriented community. People generally felt very safe in the neighborhood. They probably don't really even lock their doors. All the neighbors talk to each other. They hang out together. This was pre-internet, so people walked to each other's houses and spent time with each other face to face.
This is the kind of place where nothing happens. It is quiet, people mow their lawns. It's practically Pleasantville.
Can you believe this picture-perfect town will soon be the backdrop to murder? Upper Marion High is considered one of the finest in the state. And at the start of the academic year, there's some changes in the air.
Hey, how was your summer?
Hey, it was actually really good.
Check her out, check her out.
Oh, I wonder if that's a new English teacher.
Indeed it is. And her name is Susan Reinert. After years of substitute teaching, she's excited to get back in the classroom.
I was happy to have her as a teacher. It was almost like you were taken aback because she was so nice.
Whether you're a student or a teacher, it isn't easy being new.
Hey, have you met the new teacher? Not yet. She seems nice. I don't know.
Some smart kids. Hi, everyone.
But the other faculty members quickly put her at ease. Candace Watson and Vince Velitis are both a part of the English department.
I'm Candace. Nice to meet you.
Vince.
I came to Upper Marion when I was 23, and Susan Reinert was in my department. She was always looking for ways to work with other teachers to improve her teaching.
Susan was your typical soccer mom. She had a husband, she had 2 kids that were her world. She loved her kids, and she actually got a chance to get back into teaching.
Hi, I'm Bill.
Bill Bradfield is the chair of the English department. And if there was a contest for the dreamiest teacher, he'd win by a landslide.
Bill kind of was the prom king of the school.
He had the light blue eyes and an energy that almost drew you to feel attraction.
People talked about how affectionate he was with not just teachers, but even some of the students. He was very charming.
It's not just the students who are enthralled.
Bill Bradfield was a very charismatic person. I was excited to start my career. So I looked at Bill Bradfield as a kind of mentor.
Vince bonded very quickly with Bill, kind of like the way a little brother looks up to his big brother.
It seems like a great staff, and Susan settles into her new job without a hitch. For all outward appearances, life on the home front is just as good. After 10 years of crisscrossing the globe for her husband Ken's career as a captain in the Air Force,
Tell me about your day.
the Reinerts are finally laying down roots.
Outside looking in, it was like Leave It to Beaver.
Did you give the kids a kiss goodnight for me?
I did.
They had 2 beautiful children, a boy and a girl, Karen and Michael. And seemingly they had what most, middle America type people want to have.
They were very taken up with the children. They were involved with sports, school activities, visiting museums in Philadelphia, and both of them were very attentive, loving parents.
Seems like Susan has it all. But sometimes a pretty picture can hide a restless heart.
Well, I always say, when people look like they have it all together on the outside, they're probably falling apart on the inside, and that was true with Susan and Ken.
After 10 years, 2 kids, and the added strain from Ken's military career, there's some cracks in the marriage.
I think Susan felt very unsettled. Oftentimes, when people kind of get categorized very quickly into these life paths that they may or may not have definitely wanted, as they get older, they start to think about the life that they could have lived instead. And so I think underneath that veneer of normalcy, there was always a little bit of unrest. She's always a little bit unsatisfied, only because she didn't get to really follow a career. She had to move around because her husband was in the military and in the Air Force, so her life was really living for others. Her life was living for her husband and her children, and I think there was a part of her that thought that she never got to live her life out for herself.
Therapy? Therapy.
She did prod Ken to go to therapy, but he was very unwilling, which of course made Susan even more upset.
It's not all that unusual. A married couple grows apart. It was not a happy situation, and ultimately you had 2 children in the middle of it. Susan was a good mother, and Ken loved his children.
What is going on? What have I done?
She was very passive about it until she couldn't stand it anymore.
Unfortunately, Susan's new school is not the safe haven she'd hoped for. On the surface, it looks ideal, but underneath is a cesspool of scandal.
Hand me that gum, young lady.
And it starts at the top. Susan's boss, Principal Jay Smith, is giving everyone the creeps.
Jay Smith was a scary guy. He wore a black trench coat, and one day there was a pipe break in the high school, and there was steam coming out of the room, and Jay walks out of the room with the steam coming out behind him, and somebody said, "There goes the Prince of Darkness."
I need some more time with this little lady.
Principal Jay Smith has been running the school for years.
So you still say nothing today, right?
And for nearly as long, kids have been calling him strange behind his back.
A lot of the students would be creeped out about Jay Smith.
Go get to class. We're so weird about stuff. Sometimes you just have to watch these students.
Dr. Jay Smith was known for making inappropriate jokes. He was just known for being a little left field, especially for someone who's in charge of running the school.
This is it.
Thank you.
Knock him dead, kid. Hot.
And then you began to hear other things, especially from the women.
Stories that the principal is harassing female staff fill the hallways. Not the kind of behavior you'd expect from a former colonel in the Army Reserves.
It became very clear to me that Smith enjoyed being a verbal masturbator. He would say outrageous sexual things.
Are any of you women having trouble in the bedroom?
The women felt that he was definitely creepy. I thought he was odd.
Fine. Keep it boring under the sheets then.
He was kind of hypersexual towards people. There were rumors that maybe he was involved with some of the other teachers.
And Susan Reinert finds herself at the center.
Well, initially, the teachers didn't really notice Susan. But over time, little whispers in the hallway, little rumors, little gossip started popping up that Susan had a double life.
There was words that there was a possible affair.
Hey, you know what I heard? What? Susan sleeping with the principal.
And it was so unbelievable because she was this quiet person.
Hey, Susan. Hi. Hey, Susan.
And the gossip doesn't stop there. Soon, word spreads that Susan might be having an affair.
I don't think he's the only one.
With Bill Bradfield, too.
the rumor mill was buzzing that Bill, he was a bee that was in every honeypot.
I think people didn't really know what to believe. On the one hand, their family life seemed so idyllic, so why would she do something like that? But on the other hand, it's also plausible that she would be involved with this teacher who's known to be very handsome and very dashing, and that a lot of women wanted his attention. So you can see why Susan might be attracted to that.
If it is true, that'll cause trouble for Bill, because he's secretly seeing coworker Candace Watson.
I was invited to come to Bill Bradfield's apartment, and I found out he lived with one of the other teachers in our department.
She felt that she and Bradfield were soulmates. She loved him.
Bill and Candace have been living together. But at school, Bill likes to keep it professional.
Not at work.
Bill apparently told her that he didn't want anybody to find out that they were living together because he was afraid of what the other teachers might think.
She sure wanted to scream it from the mountaintops that she had locked down Bill Bradfield, but Bill kind of persuaded her into keeping it all a secret. Hey guys.
Hi, Susan.
She burst into the teacher's lounge and attacked Susan.
And it's all gonna end
Drop the weapon.
very, very badly.
We got a fight.
It's the start of another school year in the Philadelphia suburb of Upper Marion. English teacher Susan Reinert just wants to teach her budding students the works of Shakespeare. But how can she focus when there's so many racy rumors about her possible affairs with both Principal J. Smith and Bill Bradfield? Even more troubling is the heartache of her failing marriage.
We all felt like there was something wrong with Susan. You could feel an overall sense of her sadness.
Something's going on with my neighbor.
We felt sorry for her.
5 years after moving to Upper Marion, the Reinerts divorce and share custody of Karen and Michael. Susan starts over as a single mother. Now that her marriage is done, everyone's talking about it.
It's definitely a tight-knit community. These people, they've known each other not just years, but decades a lot of times. The families are interwoven. They have church activities, soccer games, ballet classes. These are really tight-knit people. But on the same token, they talk a lot. So they entertain themselves with local conversation, not Facebook, not Twitter. It didn't exist. So if you want to chatter with your girlfriend, you have a glass of wine and you're around the kitchen table.
No one really believes the rumors that she's sleeping with the principal, but they do wonder about Bill.
I had a couple study halls with her.
Come on, guys. Pay attention, please.
And Mr. Bradfield would come behind her on the shoulder, speaking with her quickly. That was kind of unusual.
But with gossip, there are always two sides to a story. And other coworkers claim there is no way Bill is two-timing his girlfriend Candace.
What was being said was that Susan Reinert was kind of pushing herself on him.
Come on, guys.
And he did not like that.
Hey.
He felt that she was annoying.
You wanna get dinner today?
I really don't have time. I can't do it.
Both students and teachers said that she was yearning for him. She's desperate, she's needy.
Maybe some other time?
Maybe.
It was a soap opera. Did I believe Bill Bradfield? Yes, I did.
Seems like the only people who really know the truth are Bill and Susan. But Candace Watson, Bill's actual girlfriend, has had enough of the wild whispers. And one day in the teacher's lounge,
Susan, you wanna come to lunch with us?
Yeah,
a
thanks.
fight breaks out.
I'm not going if she's going.
What did you say?
You heard me.
Oh, you're jealous.
You have these two adult women fighting in the middle of the teacher's lounge, looking more like cheerleaders than actual educators.
Oftentimes when adults work in a high school environment, it's like going back to high school again. You have all of the social pressures, seeing everybody. When Susan had their no-holds-barred fight in the middle of the school, it really reminded me of the people who, you know, it's that kind of cat fight that maybe a 14-year-old would have. So here we have these adult, supposedly mature women engaging in this crazy fight with each other, physical fight, that was extremely immature and obviously not the best way to handle things.
Two teachers who are fighting over Bradfield. A real fight, I mean, if it's, yeah, crazy, yeah.
What is going on?
All I knew is that she was getting increasingly upset with Susan Reinert's apparent need to push herself into the relationship.
I want you all out of here right now.
Of course, there are different degrees of scandal. And in a strange turn of events, all the gossip about the teachers' sex lives is about to be upstaged by a bizarre crime.
A couple sees this guy sneaking around cars wearing a mask. And there's an officer who just happened to be sitting in his car at the end of the parking lot. And he comes up.
Sir, step away from the vehicle. Stop! Stop! Drop the weapon. Do it now! Put your hands on the hood.
It turns out to be Principal Smith.
Everyone thought the principal was creepy. But now it turns out he's actually a criminal.
In his car, there were guns, there were syringes filled with tranquilizers. Like, there were just a lot of weird materials in this car that no principal should have.
Smith claims the guns are for protection, and the syringes belong to his drug-addicted daughter. But the cops don't buy it.
Going left. Got a light here.
Once police get a look at the principal's basement, they find an even bigger treasure trove of deviance.
What you got?
We've got some. Oh.
If the car was bad, his basement was even worse.
The cops found some really weird stuff, like books on bestiality and the kind of things that people had sort of talked about, but now, like, there was evidence of it.
They find tape, they find injection needles, they find bottles of acid, they find plastic bags, they find a lot of pornography.
That's a security guard badge?
Investigators also find a uniform. Could it be for some role-playing sex game or something more criminal?
Rewind to these robberies that had taken place at 2 different Sears stores in the area, and you have this guy who shows up in a security uniform with these tags to get the money for the day. And whoever this guy was had done this twice. Then you have Jay with all of these materials that are in line with these robberies. It's a simple 1 + 1 = 2.
They realized that this was something that he had been pursuing for a long time, and that he had accumulated quite a small fortune for himself through the use of that security uniform.
Cops allege Principal Smith got away with over $50,000. He's charged with theft and put on leave pending trial. Why would a small-town principal rob a department store?
My reaction was that's just crazy. I was in disbelief.
Well, it's all anyone in Upper Marion is talking about.
Weapons, syringes, some crazy stuff.
Hey guys, have you heard about
The gossip is almost gospel at this point. People really believe that he was up to no good. I mean, they found multiple guns.
Susan can't believe Principal Smith's sudden arrest either. But at least he's out of the hallways and she can focus on her students again and her love life. If the rumors are true, she and Bill are still secretly dating. At least according to her, if they can make it to summer, they'll finally have the relationship she's always longed for.
Susan is telling her friends that it's finally happening. She and Bill, once the school year is over, they're gonna go to Europe and they're gonna get married and they're gonna live happily ever after.
While Susan's planning this whole new life with Bill, she still wants to keep it a secret from her ex-husband, Ken, because they had a nasty divorce. And honestly, she was kind of scared of what Ken would do.
Was this European wedding all in Susan's head? Or was Bill about to elope with Susan, even though he's still living with Candace? But those vows will never be spoken. It's a stormy Friday night in June when a neighbor spies suspicious behavior going on at Susan's house. 15 minutes later, she's seen rushing the children out. Where could she be going in this awful weather?
One of Susan's neighbors sees Susan running out the house with the kids in almost like a dramatic fashion, hurrying away, but you have this torrential downpour. And the neighbor even recounts that she thought, oh my gosh, I hope nothing happens to her. It's so bad outside. It's kind of an ominous warning.
3 days later, on Monday, June 25th, police in Harrisburg, some 90 miles away, get an alarming call from a man with a strange accent.
There's a sick woman in the back of the car in the parking lot of the motel.
Whoever the victim is, she's more than sick.
She was in the fetal position, stripped, and there was some bruise marks, there was some chain marks. She was abused.
This was a horrific scene.
By the looks of it, officers think she's been dead for at least 24 hours.
It was obvious that she had been killed somewhere else and unfortunately taken to this location and just dumped in the back of her car like trash.
So, who is this poor Jane Doe? A run of the plates shows the car belongs to none other than Susan Reinert.
How you doing, Detective Smith, sir? Got a couple minutes I can talk to you and ask a few questions about your ex-wife?
This was a huge bombshell in the case, one that they did not see coming.
What about my kids?
In June 1979, Harrisburg police discover the brutalized body of Susan Reinert, stuffed into the back of her car in a motel parking lot.
Whoever had done this had really taken time to make sure she was very hurt. They didn't understand how this seemingly nice little teacher ended up dead in the back of her car. It was really a mystery.
Police interview motel guests and staff. No one recalls seeing Susan, nor was she even checked in.
Excuse me, Mr. Ryder? Yes, sir.
Investigators reach out to Susan's family. The first person they speak to is her ex, Ken Reinert. The detective delivers the devastating news.
We found your ex-wife dead this morning.
Ken is shocked and drops another bombshell.
What about my kids?
Your kids were kids.
I have an 11-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son.
This is a major incident. You know, she's found the children are missing, and then the investigation begins.
It was pretty obvious that Ken was on the suspect list, not only because he's Susan's ex-husband, but the divorce was ugly and they had battled over custody. And so, unfortunately, there's a laundry list of reasons why he may have offed his ex-wife.
Look, man, I know you want to get out of here and check on your family. I still have a couple more questions about Susan's whereabouts.
Ken tells the trooper that Susan and the kids were headed to a weekend retreat on Friday, about an hour away, for single parents and their families. She was supposed to be back on Sunday. He admits he was furious over the divorce, but he would never kill the mother of his kids.
He was blaming Susan for the breakup of the marriage, and that could have been a motive. Ken was, the state police's prime suspect at that point in time.
While a massive search gets underway for the children, Michael and Karen, Ken is grilled back at the station.
How long were you guys together?
Quite a few years. Got a little rocky at the end.
And they talked to Ken Reinert about the problems that he had with Susan.
But the only thing on Ken's mind is Karen and Michael. He asks the detective if he can call his parents.
Hey, it's Ken. I don't know how to tell you this, but Susan's been in a car accident. But there's no sign of the kids. Have you seen them?
A flat-out lie that might turn out to haunt him.
Why would Ken actually lie about the circumstances around his ex-wife's death?
It was all very suspicious, and so he went straight to the top of the suspect list.
Without more evidence, police have to let Ken go. but they keep him on their radar. While the police investigation is just getting started, there's a verdict in the court of public opinion. Rumors have already spread around town that he might be the killer.
Is that Susan's husband? I think it is. He looks guilty.
Back at the lab, a preliminary autopsy gives detectives a timeline for Susan's murder. They believe Susan was abducted Friday night and viciously beaten and tortured over the next 2 days. But that's not what killed her.
They learned that she had a lethal dose of morphine administered to her. It's like between her toes or in her feet.
It's a bizarre method of murder, especially for such an innocent victim.
She was a teacher, she was a mother, and the idea that she would have a lethal dose of morphine is not normal.
Why would anybody do something like that to her? So it was very difficult for the police to piece together because it just didn't seem to fit her life.
She was beaten, she was abused, she was bound. This was a real whodunit from a murder perspective.
Investigators hope tracking down the anonymous caller may break the case wide open. But there's one problem.
There's a sick woman in the back of the car.
When police seem to be on the verge of a promising lead, a clerical error throws the investigation into a downward spiral.
The person who called in to report Susan's body was taped over, another little fatal mistake. In those days, it wasn't like he had cell phones where you could get records and, we were never able to trace the phone call back to anyone. Don't know who made the phone call.
Was this the killer toying with the police? Or was the tipster simply a good Samaritan? Without the recording, there's no way to know. Frustrated police turned their attention back to Susan's body and hit yet another stumbling block. Any remaining forensic evidence is now gone for good.
Somehow, the body was cremated at a rate faster than it probably should have been.
It's another blow to the investigation, leaving police to wonder, is someone trying to cover their tracks?
They're pointing the finger at Ken, saying that, he must have been involved with this.
After all his years with the Air Force, Ken could have some pretty powerful friends. Is it possible he hired someone to kill his ex-wife? While Ken stays on the suspect list, residents are heartbroken to learn the horrifying details of Susan's murder.
When I heard that Susan was actually killed, I was really shocked. And I remember banging my hand on the steering wheel. I was really, really upset.
We were all just thinking, this is awful. How could you just shut somebody away inside of the trunk?
Especially when the kids are nowhere to be found.
People were looking for these children. They wanted to find them. Karen 11 and Michael 10. I wrote those words 1,000 times in stories because people wanted to know where they were.
And authorities are just as desperate to locate them.
There was a rumor that the children were on some Indian reservation out in Santa Fe, New Mexico. We did a lot of searching, a lot of digging, a lot of diving. There was never a trace of the kids, never a trace.
While search parties continue to hunt for the Reinert children, a forensics team re-examines the car for evidence and uncovers some promising new leads.
Hey, I got a comb back here.
That just doesn't look like it's something that would be there in this vehicle. And on it is a insignia from a military unit.
Susan's ex-husband, Ken, is a military man. Could this have belonged to him?
And there were also red fibers that they were hoping would connect them to the location and where she was killed.
I got something underneath here.
Perhaps the most puzzling find is a sex toy under the front seat.
Sex toy?
You gotta be kidding.
And when word of that discovery gets out, all of the talk takes an even more salacious turn.
There were all kinds of stories. People talking about bondage and sex cults and things that you would expect to read in a cheap novel. This woman is killed and found, and her 2 children are nowhere to be found. Who did it? How did this happen?
I told you everything I know. That's it.
I just felt numb. You know, I was afraid.
In June, a month before Susan Reinert and Bill Bradfield are supposed to get married in Europe, her body is found stuffed in the back of her car. The case of the murdered mother and her 2 missing children makes headline news across the country.
So it's basically a media frenzy. There's so much stuff that's factual that we know happened. There's also all this stuff that we don't know whether it's true or not.
Still, the sensationalized stories continue to fuel hysteria, dragging Susan's good name through the mud.
There were rumors of satanic cults, there were rumors of sex rings, and I was as amazed as anyone else reading about these things.
The media didn't have the right answers, and so they were grasping at straws, trying to piece together tiny bits of evidence that it was connected to a sex ring, possibly because everybody was just grasping at the truth. They were just hoping to piece it together.
Authorities spend thousands of hours chasing down every theory, even the most outlandish.
There were stories as far-fetched as a hitman or even so crazy as an indie director killing Susan and selling the footage underground.
There were so many discrepant pieces of information that investigators had to now sift through and decide which of these leads was actually the most credible to follow. And there's only so much manpower.
All of which makes the cop's job even harder.
We always have our ears open for hearsay, gossip, and innuendo. There were many rumors that proved not to be true, but you have to run all these things down.
But at least one person is off the suspect list. Susan's ex-husband, Ken.
He just became so cooperative. You know, if you're a suspect, first you get yourself an attorney, and then you filter what questions are asked. Ken Reinert was very open. I mean, he was a grieving parent and a grieving partner of Susan. So I think all these things, it's not the actions of a guilty man.
And that suspicious phone call?
Hey, it's Ken. I don't know how to tell you this, but...
Turns out, he had a reason for avoiding the truth.
Ken lied to his parents because he was just in such shock and he didn't want his parents to worry. If he tells his elderly parents that this horrible murder happened to Susan, how safe would they feel living in that community? So I think it came from a place of shock and maybe even from a place of protectiveness for his family.
Since none of these outrageous theories lead to the killer, police take a closer look at Susan's coworkers. Of course, no one can forget the catfight when Bill's girlfriend Candace assaulted Susan in the teacher's lounge.
She's definitely a suspect because she had a motive. Her motive was to get rid of the woman who was threatening to ruin her relationship with Bill. And she already had past history of aggression because she had physically attacked Susan at school.
The police had to look at her because she detested the idea that Susan Reinert was telling people that she was in a relationship with Bill Bradfield.
If Bill really was two-timing Candace, she would have a clear motive to get rid of Susan for good. So investigators sit down with Candace Watson and Vince Velitis first.
Where were you the weekend of June 22nd?
I went to the shore with Vince and Bill. We left Friday. We didn't get back till Monday. I should still have the receipts.
We decided that we were going to celebrate the end of the school year, and we were going to go down to Cape May.
Considering Cape May, New Jersey is 3.5 hours from where the body was found, Candace, Vince, and Bill appear to have a solid alibi. Investigators believe Susan was abducted Friday night, held captive, and most likely killed early Sunday.
Well, guys, to a great summer.
And being that they were in Cape May for that entire weekend, there was no way that any of them could have been involved in Susan's death.
Detectives check out the group's alibi, but there might be a problem.
When was the last time you saw Bill?
They claimed that they arrived at Cape May on Friday. When investigators spoke to the clerk at the hotel, they actually didn't check in until Saturday.
Oh no, it was some boarding house.
When pressed for details, Vince doesn't have an explanation.
I was with him this weekend at Cape
When
May.
police are interviewing you, you're a suspect. And they wanted me to go over the weekend over and over and over again.
Look, it was just a weekend getaway, just a little trip. That's it.
Okay.
At this point in time, I just felt numb. You know, I was afraid.
I told you everything I know. That's it.
Okay.
Investigators believe there's a lot more to Vince and Candace's story. And hopefully Bill has some answers.
Excuse me. Mr. Bradfield, Detective Smith. I'd like to speak with you for a moment. Just give us a few minutes to talk together.
Bill had a plan of attack of how he was going to deal with the police's questions. He had already retained a lawyer, and he was ready to respond in a very structured way.
Bill explains he'd like to help in any way he can, but they should speak to his attorneys.
My lawyer told me any question should go through them.
So you don't have 5 minutes to talk to him?
I don't think that says he's guilty, but that perhaps he knows something and he's protecting himself.
In September, students head back to class. But it's not the same without Susan Reinert. Even worse, word that several teachers from the English department are under investigation leaves everyone feeling anxious.
It was unsettling to know that you had those kind of people in that school of yours. We didn't really know what things they were doing.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, see you.
With Susan's killer still on the loose, Vince Velitis decides it's time to tell the police more about the rumors surrounding Principal Smith.
Hi, my name's Vince. I'm a teacher with Susan Reinert. I have some information to tell you about with this case.
Out of everyone that's been questioned, Vince is the first one to crack.
I felt pulled in a number of different directions. Do I go to the police? Do I try to get Bradfield to go to the police? What do I do?
Vince tells detectives he believes Principal Smith killed Susan because she uncovered even more about his dark past, and she was going to tell authorities.
Dr. Smith was rumored to want to do away with Susan. Some people thought maybe they were involved sexually and that she knew too much about his deviant life, and he didn't want anybody to find out.
As bizarre as it sounds, it's worth investigating. Detectives take a closer look at Principal Smith.
You're at arrest. Come with me.
And realize he was in the same city on the same day police discovered Susan's body.
Jay Smith is scheduled to be sentenced on the Sears theft charges. He's a little bit late for court, and that's the morning they find Susan's body beaten and bound in her car just outside of Harrisburg, PA.
We got a body.
Dr. Smith had the means and the skills to kill Susan if he wanted to.
Suddenly, the blue comb found in the trunk of Susan's car makes perfect sense. Principal Smith was also a retired serviceman from the same military unit identified on the comb.
It was discovered that Jay Smith belonged to this reserve. They had given these combs out celebrating an anniversary. So the theory was that Smith had this in his pocket when he's putting her body into the car.
But it was just kind of weird how that comb just happened to be there that day in that precise location. So they almost felt that, no, this isn't our big break in the case. It's actually looking like someone's framing him.
It's not enough to arrest Principal Smith. So detectives dig into Susan's finances.
Have you seen this yet?
And that's when they finally connect the dots.
They learned that she had recently opened some life insurance policies to the tune of $700,000. And ultimately, Bill was to be the recipient of that money.
Who killed Susan Reinert? And where are her kids? It's a murder mystery that's haunted Upper Marion, Pennsylvania for more than a year. Finally, a motive has come to light.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for right there.
Investigators have learned, months before her death, Susan purchased $700,000 in life insurance. Susan had withdrawn $25,000 in cash and turned that money over to Bill to invest in her kids' education.
They learned that she had gotten some money from her mother's estate, and ultimately Bill was to be the recipient of that money.
Have you given any more thought to what we talked about?
I have, actually. Susan was told by Bill that she would get a 12% return on $25,000.
12% was unbelievable. I mean, no one was offering 12%. With my background in white-collar crime and corruption cases, it was always following the money. So I picked that part of the investigation up, the investment, the monies, to show that it never took place.
I'll go back and check on a couple things on him real quick.
Not only is the investment a complete sham, but police also discover that.
And the beneficiary of them all is Bill. She even changed her will.
I'm gonna reward you for this later.
I gotta go to class.
Bradfield called me up, and I said, you know, in the newspaper it says that you inherited $1 million from Susan Reinert. And he said, really? Could you read that to me? He just acted like this was a big surprise to him.
But no one believes that story any longer. Especially when people come forward with more evidence Bill and Susan were together.
There were neighbors who said, yeah, I've seen that car. It was there at night. It was there in the morning. I know him. I've seen him coming. I've seen him going.
Investigators are now convinced Susan and Bill were in a secret relationship for the last few years. It wasn't a fantasy. In fact, Bill pursued her with empty promises of marriage.
Let's go to Europe and get married.
Yes.
And Susan bought it, hook, line, and sinker.
The manipulation is so deep that Susan must have been convinced that Bill was completely in love with her and that they were going to build a life together for the rest of their lives.
All these things just pointed to lie after lie. You know, that was the beginning of me really coming to understand that I had been really deceived and manipulated by this guy. It's still very painful.
The evidence against Bill may have been circumstantial, but there was just so much of it, you couldn't ignore it. Between the policies and the lies that he kept telling, it was obvious that he had something to do with Susan's murder.
Prosecutors now believe they have enough to charge Bill Bradfield with 3 counts of murder, with investigators theorizing all evidence pointing to Principal Smith as his partner in crime.
Bill Bradfield masterminded this plan for his own monetary interest.
What is it you wanted to talk to me about?
Susan's stalking me. She's ruining my life.
And like a mafia don, calling all the shots from behind the scenes, Bill didn't want to be directly involved with the murders. So he asked the one person he knew would say yes.
I might be able to help with that. Perfect.
Jay Smith was devious enough to be able to physically commit a horrifying murder or 3 murders.
So I think they both kind of played each other. Bradfield was more interested in finance. Smith was more interested in doing harm to people, physical harm.
Law enforcement theorized that Bill then offered Principal Smith a portion of the insurance payout to do the actual killings.
They were both master manipulators. But I do still believe that Bill had a one-up on Dr. Smith because he was the one behind and orchestrated everything.
With the promise of marriage just months away, Bill had complete control over Susan.
Our theory was it was Bradfield called her to meet somewhere.
No one knows what he might have said on the phone, but he easily lured her out into the storm.
Hang tight, guys. I'll be right back.
And then Smith shows up. And now it's too late.
Since Bill needed an alibi, Susan and the kids couldn't be killed yet. Investigators believe Bill then raced off to Cape May, while Smith allegedly took Susan to his home and chained her up. As for Karen and Michael, authorities believe
Smith abducts her and her children and does something to the children, kills them, disposes of them, and leaves her there.
no one knows why Susan was then held hostage and tortured for days, other than to guess that her killer enjoyed watching her suffer.
Investigators believe that Jay then killed her with a lethal dose of morphine and then took her body, dumped it in her car, and left it in that parking lot.
And despite years of searching, Karen and Michael Reinert have never been found.
Every state police barracks, every FBI office in the state of Pennsylvania and in the country had an open investigation looking for these children. The children would have been found if they were alive.
After just 75 minutes of deliberation, the jury convicts Bill Bradfield of murder and sentences him to 3 life terms.
If there was one part of the trial that maybe did Bradfield in the most, it was probably his testimony. He sounded like a jerk. He was telling story after story. The jury saw right through him.
I could not believe that person who I thought was a friend of mine was this horrible criminal.
He did it for the money, you know. Everything was about just trying to find out why he would do that to such a nice person.
He really duped everybody in that community. Bill was seen as somebody who was morally upright, and Vince really looked up to him. It shakes up your whole world.
Bradfield just programmed these guys, and they followed whatever he said to a T.
One day, I bumped into him in a stairwell, and I just looked at him and I said, how many other people's lives are you going to ruin before you die? And that was the last thing I ever said to him.
2 years later, Principal Smith is brought to trial and pleads not guilty. But the evidence speaks for itself.
Hey man, I got something over here. Well, it looks like a rug.
Those red fibers found in Susan's car are traced back to Smith's basement,
I think I found something.
Yeah.
where they also found a strand of Susan's hair.
But to find her hair on the floor of his house was fantastic. We called it the miracle on Valley Forge Road.
Smith is found guilty of 3 counts of murder and sentenced to death. But just 6 years later, his case is overturned on a legal technicality.
When Smith was released, it was very frightening. As far as I was concerned, there was a sociopath out there who could harm other people, including myself.
This case, I always got a dirty feeling for it. Most cases, I just walk away, but this did have a lasting result in the fact that the kids are still out there.
What stands out to me the most is not all the salacious details about sex and cults and theft. What stands out for me is the grandparents. They were looking forward to the golden years of their life to be with these children. And it was all ripped away from them. That's what I'll remember the most.